What is up, guys, and welcome to the 100 days in an infected ocean video. My first day and the biggest task that I have is to find some starters equipment. Luckily for me, I did find a stone sword, some pork, and also torches. Now the next step is to find an actual boat that I could sail the ocean with. I spent the whole day looting and finally did hit the jackpot when I did find an MP5. Unfortunately, it did not have any ammunition. Running along some more, I was looking for a place to sleep my first night in because I did find also a sleeping bag. So it was time to finally hit the sack for my first night. This place looked safe, it didn't have a lot of zombies, and I still didn't have to use my MP5 nor the stone sword. The next day was spent looting all the buildings that I could, but finally one of them did have an MP5 magazine, which was really useful, and also a chest plate that I could use. I put on the chest piece and also reloaded my MP5. Now I was finally ready to head out into the real world and find that boat. It didn't take me long to find the boat waiting for me on the other shore of the city. Unfortunately for me, the water was green and I didn't know at what point I would get infected if I stayed in it. Plus, I did pick up a fishing rod, so I have no clue if the fish is edible from this dirty infected water. Going on the boat, it was actually really sick. To go forwards, you have to put your sails down, but I did get attacked by a witch as soon as I was leaving. Luckily for me, the boat was really quick, and that's my new way of transportation across this ocean-filled zombie world. The evening was setting in very quickly, and I did decide to land at one of the islands that I was passing through. Fortunately for me, the boat is very strong. I did hit the shore one time before, but the boat did not break and did not even sustain any damage, so I think it's safe to say this is like a literal tank on water. As I hit the shoreline, I began shooting the zombies. Unfortunately for me, the zombies were everywhere and they just kept on spawning. And that is because this zombie spawn rate has increased significantly, seeing as this is a survival video that's designed to be on the water. So I can only go on land for quite some time before I get completely overrun and just empty out my magazine and have no ammunition left, which is exactly what happened this time. I was left with only a stone sword with the one that I began the video with. I continued looting the area just to take anything that I could before heading back into the ocean. That night I made quick judgment, seeing on that I did not have any ammunition and I did not have a lot of health. I decided to sleep the night in one of these buildings. It's not safe to sleep on land, but I have to do this, seeing as that's my only way out from this nightmare. Hopefully the zombie spawn rate will decrease during the daytime. A few days later, I began fishing out in the open ocean. The open ocean was green as always, and that's because it is infected, but I did decide to take my chances. If I am to survive 100 days, I might as well try and eat the fish from this infected ocean. Because if I can't eat fish from this infected ocean, it's gonna be very difficult for me to sustain myself, seeing as there are very limited cow spawns, sheep spawns, pig spawns, and chicken spawns. To my surprise, the fish that I was eating did not look too bad. My character did not get sick, and that meant I could freely eat the fish from the ocean. And finally, nighttime was setting in. I was still traveling beside some really cool looking islands, and I did decide to stop at one of them because it was nighttime and hopefully I could just sneak around during the nighttime and look around on the port that I was landing on. There were some chests that were looking pretty good, and luckily for me, I did have literal diamond boots in one of them. I also found a literal scuba mask and also some ammunition. I got back on my boat and continued traveling. Traveling through the night, I did encounter a literal military base out on some island, and luckily for me, I did have a boat and I did park it up and continued looting the buildings. Some of them had really good loot, but I did get attacked, of course, by the zombies, which I had to defend myself from. Luckily for me, this time I did finally have ammunition to stay out a little bit longer on land and in search of loot. Zombies again were spawning from every direction and they were just trying to get a piece of me. I even got a few achievements and somehow got even a Monster Hunter achievement, which was pretty weird considering there shouldn't be any vanilla zombies, only modded, which do not give such achievements. Now, on the next day, you might be asking, what am I doing? And yes, I was actually going through a ventilation vent. That's right, I crawled my way through a ventilation vent on this exact military island in search of something cool. And guess what? Something cool I did find, because before in the video, I did find a scuba suit. This proved to be very useful when I did encounter water inside of this flooded tunnel. Dropping down there was this weird room. It did not have any loot, but it did look very creepy. I'm not sure where I'm going, but after all, I am in search of better loot. And as I was going out, breaking the door, water flooded in. Luckily for me, I had my scuba suit. There were some very tight corners that I was navigating in my scuba suit, just looking for loot in general. One room did find a literal chest and also a gun inside of it, a DP-28. It was such a cool looking gun and I was really excited, especially this gun looked like it was from the Middle Ages. Not the literal medieval ages, but more like the World War I era type, because it was like a minigun, which was somehow 100 years old. It had a round magazine, a very large ammo capacity, and it did do very good damage. But I did continue on going forward, just swimming through all the tunnels. What creeped me out was there were no zombies and why this place was even flooded in the first place. Considering the fact that I'm also inside of green infected water, it does make me believe that maybe I should be a little bit more careful if I want to make it to 100 days. I circled around all the cubicles in search of more chests with some good loot as well. Swimming through the corridor, I did encounter a literal room, and the room did look like it did have some pretty good loot, but I did not expect to find zombies. That was actually the last place that I expected them to be at, because they don't generally spawn, and there's like nothing for them to eat underwater. I mean, the max they can eat is maybe like infected fish, and also I'm not 100% certain that I will not get infected from eating the fish. Either way, there were some zombies, I did got rid of them, but I did waste a little bit of ammunition for it. Luckily, there was a chest with a literal diamond sword, some ammunition, and also a medkit. The medkit would prove to be useful once I was getting attacked in the future by a zombie horde, but for now, it was really good still. That I did find some ammunition for my gun. Also, going up, there was a tunnel where there was no flood, so there was literally no water that was going across, and that really made me think that I was coming to the end of the tunnels. How wrong was I? Going along even more, I encountered a literal such a big space that my little flashlight and also little torch could not light the whole area. That's how big this place was. So I was practically going in blind now. So if I thought that just swimming around was bad in itself, now I had to do it blind mode. And there were also zombies spawning in. The drowned zombies tried to take a piece of me, but luckily I was armed with my weapons and I did defeat them. After what seemed like an eternity underground, I was finally out, and the daytime was such a beautiful sight after such a long time underground, especially in the creepy green water. But luckily for me, I was out, and yes, I was getting attacked by zombies left and right as usual, but I was quickly running back to my boat in hopes of getting back into the ocean, back to freedom, and hopefully sailing to even better lands with more cool loot that I could find and progress my survival, in hopes of surviving 100 days. Sailing through the world as usual, I was looking for more loot to loot, and luckily for me, I did encounter a literal ship, but first point that I saw of the ship was a literal back of the ship that I thought, oh, it's just a regular ship, until I kept up sailing to the front of it, where I did notice that it was actually a sunken ship. This sunken ship was pointing one piece of it into the air, while the rest of the ship was literally underwater. So again, my scuba suit is gonna come in useful, and I did not even expect the good loot that I was about to find. Not gonna lie, their boat is a little bit bigger than mine, it's a little bit more spacious, probably you can sleep on it even, or maybe even get an empire going considering the size of this baby. But one thing for certain, it did not sail. Definitely it was actually sunken, it was underwater, and unlike my ship, which is really good and it sails by wind, this one sucked as it was underwater and pretty much immovable. Going along the deck, there were zombies on board, and I had to use my guns to get rid of them. Fortunately for me, there was a chest filled with super good loot. In fact, a DMR and also netherite leggings. Those two pieces were everything that I needed to feel that this whole encounter, this whole thing was absolutely worth it. Boarding this ship and looking for the best loot possible on it. Going through the tight corridors, underwater, I did finally come across this chest and it was absolutely amazing. The DMR and also the leggings will help me to survive 100 days, most definitely a lot safer from now on, and I did feel a lot safer overall. Again, I'm really happy with the progress I was making by this moment, so everything was going really nice. As I was getting back to my boat, I heard loud screams in general directions all around me, and I did quickly understand that a zombie horde did spawn in. Unfortunately for me, I got blinded, attacked, bitten, and my health was actually really low at one point as well. But luckily, I did survive this encounter because of my newly acquired guns and also my leggings, which did prove to be quite useful by giving me a lot of armor to protect myself with. The dampening damage effect they have on the zombie bites is great, but this is the exact reason I don't like traveling at night and looting just at night in general in open spaces, because zombie hordes love to spawn in open spaces and attack you from all possible directions. That is also the reason why I did go out into the ocean and make the ocean my home. Finally, I laid my sleeping sack and I was ready to put my feet up to rest and sleep the night through. So finally, I was actually getting pretty good gear, destroying zombies left and right, and also making my way successfully to the 100 days mark. Luckily for me, I was also getting absolutely amazing loot along the way, which did increase my chance of survival with every encounter that I did have. All the good loot, all the places that I visited rewarded me highly. But the next thing that is on my bucket list is to actually get a little bit more resources. The next morning, as usual, I was planning my regular activities and did decide to go mining for the materials that I require. But unluckily for me, I did encounter a literal mine that was filled to brim with water. And also, luckily for me, I did have a scuba mask, so I could breathe underwater. And also, the breaking time of blocks underwater was not that bad, to be honest. I did expect that it was going to be really slow and really difficult to mine, but it was actually not that bad. So you can call me now a professional diver that mines underwater. Traveling on water for some time, I did encounter an island with some good looking beaches. So one of these beaches, it was actually a very flat land that I did decide to build my base on. This would be my future base of operations. It was right beside the water. There it was pretty much safe away from the zombies, as there wasn't a lot of them spawning in, and also it had some literal grass where I could even make myself a little farm going. There was also a little pond that I could use for any of my future endeavors or testing places to test stuff like my scuba suit, fish, and also other stuff. Overall, this was probably the best looking place that I did encounter in the last few days, and it was actually very nice, and I did get my base built on it very quickly. I got the main base set out already and it was starting to take shape. So the base was gonna be actually really huge, and I did decided to build from wood. Why wood? Because there was so much wood all around me, the trees that I could craft from, and all of that good stuff. Plus, wood should not catch fire, as I will not have lava defenses this time around, because lava defenses are pretty much useless if I'm all around water. The zombies will just have a dip in the water and they're not gonna be on fire anymore. So other defenses are necessary, and I was still thinking about that, what I would actually do to protect myself against like super huge zombie hordes. But I did make a plan, and I did actually plan on it. Checking out my base from a distance, and everything did seem good, and I did also flatline the land just for the base to be a little bit bigger just on the ground area level. As I was walking around looting stuff, I could not find a lot of good materials until I did find a chest with a literal gun, but despite that, I was still looting chests, looking for more materials and also resources to build up my base, build up my defenses, progress with my ammunition and armor supplies, and just try and survive the best that I could the zombie apocalypse. It's also important that I cannot stay on land really long, so I need to get back out into the ocean before I get overrun and completely obliterated. Even in the background, around, you can see that I'm getting absolutely destroyed by the zombies, but that did not stop me from looting. And one of the chests did have an ACR gun. That is such a good gun, and it's a sad state that it did not have a lot of ammunition while I picked it up, and I would craft more for it, but still, it's such a good gun, and all that's left for me is to find some ammunition, maybe even a red dot sight. I'd like to think even an extended magazine would be a good addition to the gun, and then it's practically gonna be my favorite new gun. Despite that, I did continue looting and everything that I could find, just picking up every material and piece that would be useful, but nighttime quickly came. As nighttime hit, there was a tower that I was exploring, and this one in particular was really high. At the very top, there was a very beautiful view, and I did decide to sleep on it, and it was just a wonderful place overall. I did feel safe all the way away from the zombies because I was up really high, and this tower did give me a very good viewing point advantage over the whole area on where I would go next. Scouting around, this place did not unfortunately have a lot of loot that I could pick up, but still, this was a really good tower and a really good outpost for me to check out the area and just get ready for the next day. Overall, I'm very happy with the progress I am making so far with all of the good loot and the guns that I'm finding. All that's left for me is to just build up my defenses just a tiny little bit more, and then I'm pretty much ready to go against a very big horde of zombies. Running around some more, I did encounter a lot of houses, and this was actually a very civil area. One of these houses did have a chest with some good loot, and also finally ammunition for my ACR, and that was just such a great moment because I really wanted to use the ACR. I think it's really powerful, and it's a really good shot against the zombies, as it's an assault rifle, and that means it does very good damage. Although I was pretty disappointed that I did not find any red dot sights, but overall I'm still happy with how everything is going, and everything is going according to plan, you could say. And after many days just blundering and looting the nearby areas, I did finally find a bed that I could lay my feet to rest on, and it was just such a wonderful time that finally I could sleep the night and then continue on going on with the days. It was such a pain actually battling the zombies during the nighttime while looting everything, but finally the time has come to an end, and hopefully now that I have a few more new guns, a few more new loots, I will be able to finally start building up defenses on my new base and get the ball rolling. And I was finally back in the ocean yet again. So a few days passed and I was still traveling by my boat, and it was such a wonderful experience. Again, I was catching fish to eat, and that's because you can't find sheep, you can't find not even cows, pigs or chickens for food. You can't even get a farm going on the ship. All you can do is just fish. Hopefully me frying the fishes in the furnaces will keep them healthy and not infected. After all, I don't want to eat some infected fish and become one of them. I cooked some sand, placed in the windows, and in a few days the house was taking shape already. All that was left was to actually live it in. That meant putting in the chest, furnaces on the first floor and not in the mine that I left it at, and also getting some more materials in and out. But again, the progress was taking shape and the base was actually starting to look absolutely magnificent. I was actually in love with this base. It was one of the best buildings that I have ever built. Especially looking at all the windows all around, it was starting to look like a literal mansion, and I was actually very close to making it a 2-story house because I was just so encapsulated with the building process, but I decided not to because it was already huge enough for me alone. If I was to invite a few friends over, maybe then I'd have to get a second floor going, but for now, one floor is absolutely enough for me. I was swimming about as usual, and I was gonna sleep the night in some abandoned place, and as I did walk into a random building on a random island, I did encounter a chest with some good loot, but also some zombies. It was like they were waiting for me. They were going again from absolutely nowhere, just absolutely trying to get rid of me, trying to end me, but nope, I had my guns ready, and I did manage to kill all of the zombies, and I did not have to end the video over here. Luckily for me, the zombies were batting me, but not doing as much damage because I did have really good loot on now. This wasn't day one where I was absolutely a newbie with no loot. This was actually a very progressed world for me, and I did not feel threatened anymore by little hordes. I was actually feeling pretty safe apart from my ammunition. I did have to switch out my guns a few times because I did run out of ammunition of my guns, but either way I did continue just shooting them and making my way through the night. Also, all of the XP that I'm collecting, which is not a lot, it's not as much as an XP farm, I was gonna put to good use by enchanting my gear. Walking around the island part of the place, I did encounter a helicopter landing pad, and that only meant one thing. There was a base of operations for the military somewhere nearby, and oh boy was I right, because I did actually find really good loot in one of them chests. One of the chests did have some ammunition, a helmet, and also finally a sight that I could put on my gun. So luckily the Scar was actually getting a scope after all of these days. I was hoping for a red dot sight initially, but here we are, and it was such a wonderful moment. A sight might sound like not such a big thing, but it will actually improve my accuracy by a long shot. This means I will lose absolutely no ammunition anymore on the zombies by missing shots, and it's also just cooler in general. Walking around some more, I was just picking out all of my stuff that I could find in inventory in search of better loot as usual, but as I was going, zombies were still trying to spawn in, not to the extent where they were spawning in at nighttime, like absolute endless hordes, but it was still pretty bad, and I had to use quite a bit of ammunition on them. I was actually starting to run pretty low on my ammunition, so there was only one thing waiting for me. I have to start crafting my own ammunition or go on even more looting routes to find even more chests with more loot. As usual, nighttime was setting in very quickly, and I had to sleep again in one of the random buildings, and luckily for me, I did find a safe spot away from all of the zombies, and also I did encounter a farm where I could pick out a little bit of vegetables and also some bread for myself for future endeavors. That means I don't have to eat raw fish every day from now on. I can mix in a little bit of potatoes, a little bit of vegetables, and enjoy a feast like a king. Going back into the ocean was actually a very good refreshment for myself, as I was stuck on land for quite some time. Yes, I do have some good loot, but that does not mean that I want to actually be on land all the time. After all, this is an ocean world video, and the ocean is my home. At least I think so, even though I do have a literal base on a shoreline. As usual, I was just fishing for some fish until I got a bone. I was actually really surprised, like, what could have given me the bone. This was not normal behavior, but seeing as this is the infected ocean, yes, the infected ocean might kill some fish, might kill some zombies, and even have remains of some humans, you could say. But I was not the one to judge, and I just continued fishing. I don't care what the fishes eat in the ocean, as long as when I eat the fishes, I'm not infected, then I'm pretty much happy. As I got back home, it was already nighttime as usual, but I was really happy to empty out my inventory and just see all of the loot that I had in general. I did not loot all of the bad stuff, all of the stuff I don't need. I only looted all the necessities, and that included a lot of materials and a lot of ammunition. I did also place the mining tools, or ores you could call them, in furnaces to smelt and get myself even better equipment. I was actually looking to craft myself a better pickaxe, because I was still stuck with a stone pickaxe. Seeing as my iron pickaxe broke, I was still stuck with a stone pickaxe because my first iron pickaxe that I ever had did break, and I did not have enough iron to actually get a new one, and I was still using continuously stone pickaxes. They kept breaking and I kept getting new ones. While that was smelting, I did decide to actually get some more fish just before I go off to bed, because you can never not have enough food. So food is actually really necessary to regain health and also regenerate hearts. Luckily for me, seeing as I am on land now, I can maybe in a few days get a farm going, which will provide me with a lot of good food, and I won't have to eat fish all this time. Even though I can't complain really, because fish is really tasty and it's really easy to get. Although I do miss cows, pigs, and also chickens. When you saw them in the world, you could just hack them, get their meat, and run away, but now it's a little bit more difficult to get some food. So this was another day for the nodes, and I did make some really good progress. I encountered a lot of zombies, I traveled a lot, I got a lot of loot, upgraded my base quite a bit. I also built a fence all around my base, which was absolutely amazing at keeping out the zombies, and finally I could hit the bed like a champion. A few days passed, and yet again I was in the mines looking for more mining stuff to do, but this time I was armed with a finally iron pickaxe. I know that's a huge achievement for me, but guys, listen, in this video I am not really big on looting and just progressing. I only loot chests, and the chests don't really have a lot of good stuff. They certainly don't spawn a lot of iron pickaxes, but luckily for me, I did find my first diamonds in the video, and I can use them to actually get myself some better loot. I already did have a diamond sword, but still this was a really good find. Finally coming back home, I got back home with some really good loot. I had a lot of coal, and I mean stacks of coal. 14 diamonds to build myself some good armor. I craft myself first a chest piece and also some more materials. I did get myself, of course, an upgrade that I was waiting for the whole video, and that was a literal diamond pickaxe. So finally, I was pretty much geared out. I had diamond chest piece, diamond boots, and also netherite leggings and helmet. If that's not the best loot in the game, then I don't know what is. So I was really happy with the progress I was making. It was absolutely amazing. I encountered a bridge which was filled to the brim with zombies one night, and it was actually a very rough spectacle to see. It took me quite some time to kill all of the zombies, but also I got attacked by a ton of witches, which did a lot of damage to me. It was really difficult and one of the harder battles in the video, primarily because they were just stacked up in one place and I could not even run around because I couldn't jump over the fence. So I only had one choice: I had to shoot them. Leading up to this part, I was actually highly geared with only the best loot, the best guns, and also the best knowledge on how to defeat and not lose to such big zombie hordes. Luckily for me, I did also survive this encounter, but it did take quite a bit of ammunition, and I did actually was scared because I was really close to losing this game. My hearts were very low at one point, but luckily for me, I did survive. I got really tired and I decided to actually go back to the base, and my base was actually in the horizon looking absolutely amazing as usual, and the absolute monstrosity that I built as my home base got overrun by zombies from nowhere. It was a spectacle to see. I did not imagine that there would be so many zombies spawning in all around, but I'm pretty sure something attracted them, and I'm not sure if it's because it's practically day 100, but something did cause them to spawn in or follow me through here. I did place enough torches, so I have no clue how they literally got here, but I did only have one thing to do, and that was clear all of them out, and that is exactly what I did. I grabbed my gun and I decided to blast away at the zombies, which was absolutely amazing. I want to say that yes, it was really dangerous of me to just go around and shoot everything and everyone, but I did feel really good, seeing as I did practically survive the 100 days. I was feeling very nice. I felt very safe in my absolutely amazing armor, and also I was geared to the teeth, and there was absolutely nothing that could stop me. I encountered hordes that were bigger than this, so this was no sweat for me. And finally, hitting the sack, I did look back at the 100 days that I did practically complete already, and I did think that I did make really good progress. The base was absolutely amazing, the fence was keeping out the zombies at least to a point. My boat was parked up by its own shore, and I also had a super huge house. I was really happy to sleep my final night. But that is it, guys. I did survive 100 days. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and also leave a comment with the next video idea. This video was actually taken from one of your guys' opinion from the comments, so let me know what you want to see next, and I'll see you guys as usual in the next one. And as always, thanks for watching. Peace.